3K a month versus 30K a month versus 300K per month earners. How different are they really, and what are the key things that separates one level versus the other? Well, that's exactly what I want to break down for you today on another episode of From the Trenches. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been around, welcome back. So let's go ahead and dive in to the lesson today. So this is From the Trenches, where every single week we break down a different topic. And like we talked about, today's topic is the difference between the 3 versus 30 versus 300K per month earners. This is where I just share really real and raw lessons that I learned in getting to 30K a month in high ticket sales, traveling the world, scaling a company to $1 million a year. Now I mentor people to build their own freedom. So for this specific video, I wanted to share some of the lessons and insights around the differences that I see between 3K, 30K, and 300K a month earners. Last weekend, I actually had the ability to go to a mastermind where there were several people in the room making over 300K a month. I haven't gotten to that level yet personally, but there was key things that I learned from them and key things that I see people getting stuck on at 3K a month that really holds them back. So I want to break down the differences between those so you can tactically understand how do I actually get to that next level and what do those differences actually look like. So first off is the 3K a month, right? Over the past 5 years, I've coached hundreds of different people who are trying to break out of that 9 to 5 trading time for money situation where they're maybe stuck making 3 to 5K a month. So for 3K a month earners, this is typically the opportunity that they're in, right? They're working a 9 to 5 and they're really like just stuck trading time for money. That's the opportunity vehicle that they have and they work hard. You know, they're typically loyal to the company or their family. But really the biggest thing that keeps 9 to 5 or, you know, time for money people stuck at that 3K a month is these key things. So these are the key things that I've seen hold people back or keep people stuck at this 3 to 5K a month level. Number one is fear of failure, right? Really just being afraid to like actually take that risk and like get to the next level. Number two is skeptical or like pessimistic, where they see people out there making money. And obviously there's real people and there's fake people and whatever, but they're skeptical that like there's legit opportunities out there, or that they're pessimistic that it's not going to work for them or whatever. So like that skepticism or pessimistic, I don't know how you say that right. But that a lot of times holds people back. Number three is like they value security and comfort, and maybe they don't think that they're valuing security and comfort, but people at this level are really putting a high emphasis on security and comfort, which is kind of like, you know, the fear of failure, like taking a risk is like the opposite of security and comfort. And people are kind of stuck in that. Maybe they don't want to be stuck in that, but that's what they're used to. And that's really hard to kind of break out of that. Sometimes people just getting started. And then, this is 4. And then they're stuck in research mode. So a lot of times people get stuck where they are wanting to break out of this comfort of this 9 to 5, etc. But it's almost like the golden handcuffs, because it's like the money keeps coming in. It's like if you do anything else, like it's taking all your time, but you're also stuck feeding that machine every single day in order to keep getting paid. And then it's like a vicious cycle. But a lot of times people are like, they have their eye on something better, right? At that 30K a month or 10K a month level or whatever. But they're stuck in that research mode where they're really just like looking at ideas, but they're not taking action. They're not taking that risk because they have that fear of failure, right? Or because they are skeptical, or because that comfort zone is, you know, is comfortable, right? And those are kind of like the most common things that I see hold people back. So if you're at that 3 to 5K a month level, maybe some of these resonate with you, maybe they don't. But just keep in mind, like, and hold up the mirror and reflect on yourself too, of like, okay, if I am stuck at this level, have I been doing some of those things, right? Or are some of those things actually like a pattern that I've been in that's been holding me back? So that is, first off, your 3K a month level and really what that looks like most often. Next up is the 30K a month level. So this could be, you know, 10K a month, 30K a month, whatever. I've personally gotten to 30K a month doing high ticket sales, and then beyond that with my business. But this is where I see people, what the difference is between 3 and the 30 is a lot of times the opportunity, right? You still have to have hard work, right? You still have to be like consistent and loyal, but you also have to have the right opportunity. So typically, people that are hitting that 30K a month level are doing sales of some sort. They're selling something high ticket, where they're actually trading value for money. And they're not trading time for money, because time for money, like you're fixed in, you only have so many hours that you can work. Whoa, the power literally just cut out. We're gonna keep shooting this in the dark. Oh, we're back. This is live and real, guys. There's no fake, no fluff, no hypey editing. So value for money versus time for money. Or they have like some kind of small business where they used to pop this light back on. Some type of small business where they're able to generate income, but they're still doing sales of some sort. It's either for their own small company or they're doing it for somebody else. And typically the mindset of the people that are at this level is, yes, they have hard work ethic, but someone that's at the 30K a month level has like courage to face the discomfort. And they're not afraid of that fear of failure, right? They're okay with failure and they're okay with discomfort because they've learned that that's a key part of having the success that they want. So that they're used to getting out of their comfort zone. They're used to that fear of failure, and they've gotten past that skepticism. They started to believe what's possible for them, in combination with the hard work, because the hard work alone will not get you there. I'm sure you've seen people that have worked their butt off or worked super hard for years in the 9 to 5, and they're still stuck, right? So that's kind of some of the key differences that I see that helps people get to that 30K a month mark, and that helped me as well. Like once you start taking massive action, you kind of face that fear of failure of taking like that leap, and you quit your job, or you start something on the side that you're just like obsessed with. That's what switches people from the 3K a month to that 30K a month mark. But what keeps people stuck at that 30K a month mark, and these are some of the things that I've even been like learning and like struggling with to get to that next level of the 300K a month. At the peak, our company was doing about like maybe 120, 150K a month. So I never reached that 30K or that 300K mark personally. But the thing that keeps people stuck at the 30K a month mark is they're running around selling one-to-one, right? So they learned like, hey, I have to face discomfort. I have to face that fear of failure, and they have the courage to go out and sell things and talk to people and do business deals. But they've learned it just from the sales perspective, and they are stuck doing it one-to-one, which is still good, right? 30K a month is awesome. And like there's people even maybe that can push that to 40K a month, 50K a month, etc. But you get capped out because there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many people that you can talk to one-to-one. And that's kind of where they get stuck, right? At that 30K a month level. And then 2 is the fear of marketing, fear of branding, right? So again, these are things that I'm learning and figuring out right now live with you guys, right? I never really learned how to do branding, never really learned how to do marketing, because it's one, I think it's like another level of fear to, first off is like fear of failure, fear of what other people are going to think about you, just to go out and like try to sell something, right? But then when you're doing marketing and branding, it's like that fear times 1,000 because you're like, okay, I'm sending this out there. If this video gets seen by 100 people or 1,000 people or Uncle Bob or Billy or whoever, that, or your mom or your mother-in-law or whoever you're thinking of, that a lot of times causes that fear that holds people back from really putting themselves out there, making content, doing branding, etc. Or it just feels too technical. Like for me too, when I started trying to learn ads and branding, it's like, it feels overwhelming. It feels like very technical, and like there's all this different lingo and software that you have to learn, a lot of stuff. So fear of marketing and branding is something that keeps people stuck at that 30K a month level. And then number 3 is the month-to-month mindset. So when you go from, making 3K a month to 30K a month, like I said, you have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to, face that fear of failure, have the courage to go out and sell things. But what happens is you're maybe still not fully over that like scarcity mindset. and you're kind of like maybe even addicted to like the high of closing a deal or like chasing that next win. And what that really does, that keeps you in a month-to-month mindset or even week-to-week mindset, where you're just trying to close the next deal, you're trying to get the next win, and you're like caught up in that cycle, and you're like afraid to kind of step back and build something bigger beyond that, right? Something bigger that's gonna, maybe not make money this month, but make money next year or in the next 5 years, because that's really hard to do. It's like, okay, because I know if I stop selling, I'm going to lose 30 grand, right? But I can never get to 300K a month if I don't slow down, if I don't stop and like actually work on something bigger picture. So it might cost me 30K to like spend a month working on this longer term, big picture thing. And a lot of times people can't make that trade because maybe they grew up without a ton, like, in their family, they never had a ton of money when they were growing up, or like they were broke before, so now they're like, crap, like if I stop, am I going to go back to being broke? So it's almost like still getting over that. Even though you're making, what is a ton of money to a lot of people, you're still caught in that like scarcity mindset a little bit. And you're just thinking short term. You're like stuck chasing that next deal, chasing that next win. And that's what keeps people stuck at this level, because they never build the long-term assets that are needed. So that's the 300K a month level, or sorry, the 30K a month level. And then these were some of the key takeaways that I learned at this mastermind this past weekend of people that are at that 300K a month level. Like, what are they doing? What are they saying? How are they thinking? How are they acting? That's different from, for sure, the 3K a month level, but then also the 30K a month level, that has allowed them to accelerate and grow in that capacity. So these are some of the key things. And there was at least a handful of people that were doing 200, 300, 400K a month at this mastermind. So first off, the opportunity is like they already know how to work hard, for sure. They already know how to do sales, right? Trading value for money. They already know how to face discomfort. Like those are all like stacking, right? But then what the 300K a month level people are doing is they're doing marketing and branding plus a business vehicle. And the biggest difference between 30 and 300 is there's leverage, there's scale, right? Where you can make one video or one ad and you can run that same thing times 1,000 impressions. And impressions is just a fancy word for people seeing the thing. So if you're like, you get really good at sales and you know how to sell people watermelons, right? Probably not watermelons. If you know how to sell people on, a certain software that's really helpful, right? If you know how to sell that one-to-one, now you take that and you package that in an ad or in a video, and then you push that out times 1,000 people. And then you have leverage and you have scale because you make the asset one time and it continues to run indefinitely or long term, and it's not limited by your capacity to to talk to one person at a time, right? Now the challenges here is like it has to be good, right? Because if you don't actually know how to sell, if you don't actually know what your market wants and like what's valuable and what's helpful, then you could be making stuff. You can make tons of stuff, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to get reach. It's not going to be effective in either helping people, building goodwill or trust, or like converting, making any sale. So that's what the people at the 300K a month level are doing, is they know how to sell, they know how to face that discomfort, and then they're packaging all the value that they've created in themselves and the knowledge and the skills and the abilities, and they're packaging that into a marketing and branding mechanism that feeds into a business vehicle, right? That you have to actually have a business or a product or a service to monetize that attention, that value that you're creating. If you're just making a bunch of stuff that's like entertaining, there's really not going to be a ton of income in that. So like I said, mindset wise, they have all the above. They have the hard work ethic. They have the, courage to face discomfort. They have the ability to sell, but then they also are doing these other things where they're skilled at marketing and branding. Like I said, they have leverage on the value that they have. But this is a key difference. Like you can't just start making a bunch of videos and trying to run ads if you don't have the value to scale it, right? Because it won't perform at scale if it's not valuable, if it's not dialed in. So you almost have to go through these levels to be able to make this work, which is interesting, but it's good. Otherwise, you'd have people who don't have a ton of value or like ability, just like making a ton of money, which would screw up the world and the economy, which sometimes actually happens, which is not good. As you know, weird, not weird, but like low. I don't, obviously, nobody is like a low quality person, but like they haven't learned great character or values, and they start making a ton of money, and that can be detrimental to both themselves and the people that are interacting with whatever like content or stuff they're putting out there. So number one, 300K a month people are skilled at marketing and branding. Number two is they use ruthless focus and prioritization of their time. And this is something, as I was listening to different people talk about what they're doing and like speaking about like the strategies and tactics that are working for them, everybody at this level is extremely like focused and prioritized with their time. So they're not just working on whatever, and they're not just letting anybody take time on their calendar. They're honing in on one thing. Steve Jobs says that focus is not saying yes to one thing, it's saying no to the 1,000 other things that could be or that come up. And that's a key thing that I hear people talking about at this level, and that's been like an unlock for me of like, okay, if I want to go to that 300K a month level, this is something I need to do better with. Not just taking random meetings, not just doing random hangouts or whatever the thing is for you, whether it's like people trying to hang out in the middle of the week, or whether it's like if you're selling at that 30K a month level, taking meetings, you know, when you're supposed to be working on marketing and branding stuff, like ruthless focus and prioritization of time. And then number three is they're patient, and they have a 1 year plus objective mindset. So again, at that 30K a month level, they have the month to month mindset because they're like, hey, I'm out there, I'm closing deals, I'm taking action, etc. But they're kind of scared to stop selling or to stop making money and build the bigger thing. The people at that 300K a month level are patient, and they might have one project to work on for 3 months or 6 months or a year. They look out into the future, and they have the bigger picture perspective of like, okay, if I want to get to here, I know that if I spend 6 months of just solving this one problem, everything else will take care of itself. Versus this person at the 30K a month level is like so afraid of going broke or like losing 30K that they never get to the 300K mark. Does that make sense? And honestly, a little bit of that too at the 3K a month level, because like somebody's so afraid of losing the comfort and security of the 3K a month to quit or to do extra stuff to get to that 30K a month level. If you've ever heard the story of like how they trap, like there's how they trap monkeys is I don't know if this is a real thing or if this is just a story, but how they trap monkeys is they put a banana in a jar, and they have the monkey reach into the jar and grab the banana, and then the monkey is trying to pull its arm out of the jar, but it can't get its hand out because it's holding on to the thing, right? And like they can't escape, they can't actually get what they want because they're trying to pull the fist out of a jar, but they can't while they're holding on to it. And that's kind of like what keeps people stuck at 3K and 30K is like holding on to the thing that got you there, right? What got you here won't get you there, and it needs to be a shift in how you're thinking about it to actually get to that next level. And a lot of people are too afraid, they have too much fear of failure or like fear of scarcity because of past trauma or like, you know, whatever, to actually make that happen. So that's the third thing, is patient, 1 year plus objective mindset. I'm just going to work on one thing for the next year. I'm just going to work on one thing for the next 2-3 months. So this is just a quick like bonus insight that I wanted to share with you guys, is like, what are both 30K and 300K a month earners doing well? Because if you're stuck at that 3 to 5K a month level and you're thinking, okay, how do I actually make this happen for myself, you want to start to put these pieces together. So the thing that you probably already have is you probably already work hard, which is good, and you probably already like are loyal to your company or the people, you know, your family, which like those are good things. But the next thing is learning these other things. So hard work for sure. 300K and 30K earners, they all work hard, right? And they're okay with discomfort / failure. So that's one of the shifts that you might need to make is like, instead of being afraid of discomfort and afraid of failure, understanding that most people think that success is over here and failure is over here. So it's like I either succeed or I fail, when in reality, success is here and failure is here, right? So you have to go through failure to get to success. You have to go through discomfort to get to success. It's not the opposite of that. If you want to get shredded at the gym, if you want to get in shape, you have to go through that discomfort to get to success. You have to go through failure if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to start a business, get into selling high ticket, etc. So that's the first thing, is they both do that. They do both those things well. And B is they speak with certainty and conviction. As I was listening to different people talk, everybody was talking about different things, and everybody had their own like hack or tactic of what you need to do to get to that next level or whatever. But one of the things that has helped me, and one of the things that I do, is when I'm listening to mentors or speakers or people that are teaching the thing, I sometimes try to block out like what they're actually saying and just listen to what they're doing, right? Because a lot of times people will be selling you on a mechanism or a thing or strategy or whatever. But I look at, not just what are they saying, but what are they doing, and what insights and learnings am I getting from how they're coming across. So I want to make notes about what I'm learning as I'm going through the process, not just take notes of these are the things that I'm saying. Does that make sense? The difference between that? So I'm looking for what are they doing, not just what are they saying. And one of the things that everybody does that is at 30K and 300K level is they speak with certainty. It would be better to be confidently wrong than to be timidly right, because nobody will follow someone who's timid. Someone who's timid does not take action. Someone who's timid does not create momentum, action, progress forward. Even if you're confidently wrong even if you're confidently wrong in a direction, you will make progress through the process of learning, right? Action leads to insight more often than insight leads to action. That's another great quote. C is they don't care about what other people think / feel of them, right? So 30K a month people and 300K a month people, they are not so caught up in, okay, what does mom think? What does Uncle Billy think? What do the people on social media think? They just know, like, I got to take action and I got to do whatever I need to do. It's just at bigger levels, right? 30K is like 1-to-1 level. 300K is like the masses might hate me or think this is stupid or whatever for what I'm doing. And they take action and they do what's required regardless of that. And then D is they know their destination clearly, not just the speed. So when you're hearing these different numbers, 3K a month, 30, 300, what a lot of people set as their goal is a speed, right? Speed is how much money you're making per month. Destination is where you want that money to take you, what you want that to create for yourself. And so many people that get stuck at the 3K a month level, or the 3 to 5, is they don't know the destination. They just know, they just say, oh, I want to get to 100K a year. I want to get to 10K a month or 20K a month or whatever. But they don't clearly define like where they're actually trying to go with that. That's just like how fast you're going. You know, if you think of a car, speed is how much money you're making per month. Destination is where are you going? Where's your GPS actually taking you to? So even if you say, okay, I want to make 10K a month, if you don't know what that's going to do for you, where you're trying to go with that, you're never going to get there. And it's not going to be actually valuable and have the impact on your life that you want. And the destination is like, hey, do you want to travel to Bali, right, and work remotely? Do you want to buy a car for your grandma? Do you want to give $10,000 to drill a well in Africa? Like, that's the destination where you have hyper clarity of like, or do you want to buy a plot of land and build on it? That's the hyper clarity of where's the destination that the speed of this income is going to take me, and that's what creates the clarity and the momentum and the drive to actually make that happen. So hope this is valuable for you guys. I learned a ton this past weekend, and I thought it was really interesting, just these different breakdowns between these levels. So hope this is valuable. If so, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaways. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next one.